There we go. All right, guys. Welcome to the Free Agent Real Estate Investing Show podcast. My name's Stratton Brown.
And my name is Butler, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Thanks for tuning in. We got a lot going on this week. This is a little bit different format, too, because I'm out here in Utah and Mike's still in Fresno. And this will be our first time doing it over StreamYard and seeing how we like it to go this way. Yeah, man, let's just talk. How'd your week go last week? How's business going through the holidays? Have you seen an uptick, a slowdown?
Let me see, man. Let's see. As for the week, it's been kind of slow, or so it feels like. I mean, there's a few deals or few leads that we're working on right now, whether it comes with not title issues, but escrows. Doing a lot of follow up with sellers. Just really focusing on my team and the processes that I have within my CRM, and just really trying to make sure that when we're ready to take off, we're able, at the beginning of the year, obviously, we don't want to slow down at that point. But the biggest thing is just making sure that our system is a little bit more flawless. So we're able to execute at a real high level going into next year.
Exactly. I think now I'm not sure how well the response rates will be cold calling next week, right? They'll still be going, but I bet you it's just going to be slower regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really taking this time to lay out some systems, and we'll talk about this later, so I can just delegate everything, because today as I'm snowboarding, it was a lot more obvious how I'm a straight solopreneur as far as my real estate business goes. And my call center is a lot more of a business, where money still came in for the call center and then now, if I'm not making my sales calls as far as wholesale goes, then bro, we're not making any cash. We're not making big checks. Yeah. And that was really different. What type of title issues were you having this week?
I don't necessarily want to say title issues, but more of, I don't know if everyone's kind of experiencing this issue right now, but just getting prelims back. There used to be a point in time where, I feel like as an investor, as a wholesaler, as a, just cash buyer in general, one of the biggest things that you have to offer some of our sellers or, some of our, clients is being able to have that speed, being able to let them know, hey, we pay cash, right? We close fast. And so there was a point in time where I could almost guarantee that I can get prelims back in 2 to 3 days. Right. And then from that point, it really just turns into the funding element of it, making sure you got the good relationships with your buyers, trusting that they're going to, perform. Whereas right now, man, I'm literally leading that conversation like, hey, typically my contracts are 30 days. As of right now, I think, typically my contracts are at 30 days. We aim to try to get them closed between, 5 to 15 days, 1 to 2 weeks. But right now, I can't guarantee you that. Right now, it's looking like it's taking about a week for us to even get prelims back before we can even start to, really start that process.
Yeah. The way we've been phrasing it everywhere now, I just use one example. Hey, I bought a house in March in the middle, right when COVID kicked off, and it took us 2 months to close because the county dragged their feet and the title company dragged their feet.
Yeah.
So again, you want to set proper expectations for your client, right? You don't want to go in saying, hey, we're going to close next week, blah, 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 knowing damn well, a lot of new people hey, I'll pay cash, I'll close next week. But then prelim doesn't come in for a week, and then you still have to find a buyer, you still have to do this, after that, to where that's been an issue for us. So I always set expectations just up front, hey, with COVID, I have no idea what's going to happen. And then with lenders, everything else, with everything that's going on, we always put a 30 business day escrow on it, just in case anything pops up and we have any issues. And if anything does happen, we'll address it and we'll talk about it from there. Mm-hmm. We want to get this thing closed as fast as possible. And at least, but you have to say it again, like everything else, like we were talking about last week, with confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to believe in it, and I think the only way you're going to believe in it is if, you're actually out there, doing this business, right? Because if you're actually out there doing this business, you can see the difference from them being backloaded and stuff like that. And again, we're talking about if this deal it has a clean title, no deed of trust, right? No mortgage on the property, no liens, no past due taxes, like, shit like that. That's just a clean deal. It's taking long like that. So just imagine if there's actual title issues with this property.
Exactly. And Joe, you're out here. Are you down in Visalia?
What's up, Joe?
And wherever you guys are watching from, let us know. Leave a comment. We love the interaction. It makes it so much better.
Yeah, because you can see who's all kind of as people kind of tune in. I can't see none of that. So by you guys dropping a comment, I at least get to see who's in here and at least, interact with you guys.
But yeah, as far as Central Valley goes, right now we're using Chicago and Visalia, and they've been really good. Joe's in Bakersfield.
Okay.
And at least for us, prelims, everyone in Fresno have been awful. Dana at Placer has been amazing, but we've had to switch over a little bit of business for some.
Well, let's kind of talk about Placer though. I think personal reasons, but at the same time, I mean, this is something that people are going to experience if you're investing out here, in Fresno.
Yeah,
this is a real problem. Right. This is something that we've had conversations with multiple other investors here.
So Placer title, you can't do an assignment fee more than 8% of the overall contract price. What is it? It's above a certain contract price, and you have to disclose your assignment fee altogether.
Which we already do.
Yeah,
in those contracts. Not a big issue. Yeah, but it's not hiding the fee. We don't care. We honestly don't. Adam got it 18%. I really don't care about no seller seeing how much I'm going to make off the property because, again, Stratton, like you said, setting expectations on what this transaction looks like. Them understanding that we're going to make money on this property. No one's working for free,
right?
You know what
I mean? It's from what the seller is making. You want to elaborate a little bit, Joe?
So it's 18%. So here's kind of how it worked out. So I currently had a deal that I locked up around $95,000, right? Was able to get it assigned at $122,500. So that's what, $27,000, $27,500. So basically, the title company told me it was over that 18%. So basically, of that $95,000 that the seller would be getting. And so there was a workaround around that, but it's kind of like a last, if like you had to do it type thing, because they were just like, at that point you got to disclose it with the seller, and we're saying, well, that was the whole point when they signed. At the end of the day, when they came in to sign their closings packets, that stuff that it was disclosed in there, because I've had conversations with sellers about it. So I guess it's just something that underwriting is kind of enforcing right now. It's kind of agitating because at the end of the day, if there's full disclosure and both parties or all three parties agree on it, there's really no difference. At that point, I can close the transaction at $95,000, right? Double close it, and then I'll be able to sell it the exact next day. So I don't get where it really hurt them. But at the end of the day, it's gonna suck for them because they're gonna lose a lot of business because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Dana pretty much got all of our business, I would say, and then everybody slowly had to move away.
Yeah, and there's a lesson in that.
Yeah, I think Dana is the best one out here, honestly.
Yeah, I use Lupe. I fucked with Lupe Prado, Team Prado at Placer. I really, those are my day ones, right? I've heard a lot about Dana. Dana actually worked some deals that I did with Dean. Dana's awesome. I think that was just my loyalty with Lupe, because when my first deal, man, was with Lupe, and as a new wholesaler, man, you got a bunch of questions about the escrow process. And at no point did she ever make me feel silly for asking silly questions, or rookie type questions. And so to me, I always feel like, I was indebted to her for that.
But yeah, so that is the reason we switched title companies, just because like you couldn't do a certain size assignment fee. And then the closing is like, whatever, like it's a part of it. Like you can either sign or you don't. Like,
and it's like they're regulating. It's like they're trying to regulate on our assignment fees. Which I don't know why, man. At some point, I mean, you're almost messing up someone else's business.
Yeah. And so I'm not a fan of it. So now we're testing out what is it, Chicago title?
Chicago title using Kim Ramsey. That's what I'm using.
Yeah, we're using Kim.
Okay.
And that's been really good. And then what else? Content. Oh, what's my content of the week, man? I love Mark Evans' content so much, bro.
Yeah.
I sent you his podcast like right before this.
Yeah.
Like everything he talks about just resonates with me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything he says, as far as like he's like the David Goggins of business to me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where he tells me like, don't be a little bitch, be smarter. And like he calls you out for little things. Another thing, and like the way he talks about money makes me feel so insignificant, but that's what I need. Yeah. And that is, I try and listen to as much content of that as possible to have him be in my inner circle of 5 people, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So even though he's not technically or literally in it, figuratively he is. Just if that's even right.
All his content just in my head going over. And like Adam's called me out with some shit. I got cheap on some like skip tracing shit, and Adam was like, "Well, what the fuck would Mark Evans say? Quit being a pussy." I was like, "Oh, whoa, bro, calm down."
You know, you can't go cheap on skip tracing.
He was like, "Don't even worry about saving the money, man. Just spend the money and do your marketing."
Yeah.
Like, oh, all right, man. Like, let's go. And shout out Adam. He's the one who told us about the 18%. So Mark Evans DM, his podcast is a making of a DM.
Mm-hmm.
And he's my goal by the end of the year, I'll be in his mastermind. I just think he's the epitome of business because wholesaling, you get into it and anybody can get into it. There's a low barrier to entry. And then there's wholesalers. And there's the people who scale and take it into business. Then there's the people who scale and take that and start buying units. And then people start diversifying, going into other businesses. And I'm really interested in business as a whole instead of just real estate, right? Like real estate's just a place for me to put my cash, but I'm not fascinated with real estate. And Mark Evans has really got me big into business and diversifying.
I mean, and honestly, the first time I had not even, and this isn't even in a bad way when I say, you know, the first time I kind of heard of him was really with Matt. You know, Matt started, he started again, and that can tie in kind of with your circle, right? Matt started, posting things about things that he was doing with them and just content and stuff like that. And just by having Matt and kind of in our circle, I was exposed to Mark. And I mean, dude, like his stuff is crazy, man. It's mind blowing.
And so I got exposed to Mark at the beginning from when I was working for Alan Folio. Alan was a part of his mastermind with Matt.
Okay.
And we all got to go to a dinner with Mark. And then Alan was telling me about him. And I was like, oh my God. Like, are you serious? Like, again, like the stuff, like, I didn't even know that's possible. Like, I didn't even know you could make that much money.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know, like, you don't know behind these companies, whatever a dude's making pens and he's making $5 million a year. You know what I'm saying? But like, he's one of those guys who's just making products and scaling businesses. What was your biggest issue this week, man?
My biggest issue this week, biggest issue, I guess it's kind of a lead. It kind of ties in a little bit what we're going to be talking about moving forward with a lead that we're kind of working on. Everyone's seen kind of on my social media. I was at a property. We did a walkthrough in Chowchilla. And so this is just an elderly lady who owns this property. It was one of those things. It was a little bit hard to, you talk to her, but there was points where I felt like it wasn't really getting through to her kind of on some of the things that I was saying, or just, trying to make sure that she fully comprehended the process of, escrow and once she signs a contract, what type of commitment, like what she's agreeing to and things like that, right? The protection in it for her, the protection in it for me and my company. And there was a lady that she kept mentioning that she said that previously wanted to buy it a few years ago, but she kept bringing up this lady as someone that it seemed like, she managed the property for her. It was someone that she really almost seemed like she kind of trusted, right? And so after talking with this lady, I was just like, you know what? Let me reach out to her. Just because to me, morally, that's just the right thing to do. At no point did I feel like the lady couldn't make that decision on her own. But at no point do I also want it to look like we're taking advantage of somebody, right? And so I reached.
She's an older lady.
Yeah, she's 90 years old. I mean, looks phenomenal. Looks phenomenal for her age.
Always having a second party. At least that's how I feel. Like there's
a
child, grandchild, anyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's get them involved. Like,
and so when asked about it, she just kept saying that she needed to go down to Fresno because the property was in a trust. I'm like, okay. So she asked if she could take the contract down there, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. I was like, I left it. I said, I want you to talk to whoever you feel like you need to talk to in order to make the best decision for you and your family. And so then in the meantime, I reached out to the lady that she was telling me about. I guess they stayed behind the property. And I reached out to her. I was just like, hey, my name is Michael Butler, reaching out to you. I had an appointment with, the lady on Tuesday. And then after speaking with her, there were some things that I felt like she wasn't fully comprehending. So at this point, I feel a little bit more comfortable with you being involved in that process. I just think that's the right thing to do, And so she was like, well, she has 2 daughters. I think her daughter should be a part of that discussion or just the process. And I was like, see, that's something I didn't know. I was like, you're the only one she's actually talked about. So I said, hence why I'm reaching out to you. And so she's like, okay, well, I'll give, the seller a call. And she was like, and then I'll reach out to the daughters. She mentioned that one of the daughters was a judge. So I'm like, oh, here we go. Right. And so basically, and then I told her, I said, call the daughter first. Let her know that, give her all my information. Let her know why I pretty much reached out to you, blah, 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 blah. Don't call the mother back and then call the daughter. Like, I want you to just go straight to the daughters, let them know I'm interested in buying, and let's just go from there. Man, fast forward that probably 5 minutes, I get a call on my phone. Lady hops on the phone and she's just like, you're trying to take advantage of, 90-year-old women. You should have reached out to her family. And I was like, and at that point I kind of had to cut her off, and I'm starting to get like upset, because I'm sitting here like, when your intentions are good, it's obviously offensive when someone tries to question what your intentions were, but we also understand in this business, you got to be able to keep those emotions in. Right. And so that was my moment. That was a struggle for me at that point in time, because you're questioning morally what my intentions were. And so I said, ma'am, I was like, I'm not trying to argue with you. I said, but the reason you have my number is because I reached out to the only person that I had known at the time that she trusted, and she just kept, cussing me out. And she was just like, how about you just go get a real job and not look at public records, and, and not try to take advantage of these older ladies. And then at that point, she pretty much just hung up on me, man. So that's where we were sitting at with that deal. I did ultimately have one of my callers follow up with the mother. And the mother was just kind of like, I don't even, children, wow. They don't. Yeah. She was like, the children doesn't have any bearing on any input on what I choose to do with this property. She's like, at the end of the day, I want to sell it. She was like, they don't really have, input on what we do here. And so I'm like, so that's kind of where we are right now. That's been my issue of the week.
That is a strong ass issue.
Yeah.
strong ass issue.
Yeah.
I know you're not asking for my input, but I had that.
You're going to give it anyway. You're Stratton Brown.
You're not asking for I had the same shit happen to me on a tax deed property where the dude's like, you're trying to take advantage of my mom. And at least and I got this from Jen Folio. She's like, when someone's coming at you, like you're an adult, you need to be respected as well. You need to meet them with the same energy. And so I cut him off. I was like, listen here, you're not going to cut me. You're not going to cuss me out. I'm a grown man. You're a grown man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to you. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. And then obviously like it couldn't go 2 ways. And I took a gamble, but I was like, I'm not going to let you talk to me this way. Like that's just how I am personally. And like, I do not want to do business with people who have bad energy because the deal will be awful. At this point, like I don't need the fucking money.
No, 100%. 100%.
Like, I don't need money. And so like I can go on to the next one, and then other people, and this is a Mark Evans thing. He's like, bro, I want easy deals. I want easy big deals. He's like, that's all I care about. He's like, that's what I care about, bro. Like, I don't care about if you followed up with someone for 13 years and they finally cracked and you got a deal for 10 grand. And like, I don't want to do a deal for 8 grand with a bunch of freak. It's like this hefty ass deal. Like, that's not fun for me.
Yeah.
And then if you end up doing the math, the amount of time you put into it, like, you might as well work a minimum wage job.
Might as well work a minimum wage job. No, and I agree. And I think just when I got off the phone, man, I was just so upset. Like my wife's looking at me. She's looking at me, and she, and that kind of ties into like our football background, right? So, you're not used to, feeling like anyone talking to you crazy, you know what I mean? And there was a point in time where you'd be able to just go knock the shit out of somebody, if that was to occur, Yeah, and that's part of the transition. That's part of the transition to real life, is that you just can't knock the shit out of people when they piss you off, right? And so I sent her a text message right after. It was a pretty long one. I just felt like, at the end of the day, she wasn't letting me get my words out. And so then I pretty much just reached out to her pretty much, hey, I'm texting you just because I felt like my intentions were received the wrong way. I understand you can be upset, and I get where that anger could be coming from, but this is kind of how everything worked out. She never replied back, but at the end of the day, that made me feel better because my intentions were, I was able to relay what my intentions were. So at the end of the day, I think we're just going to continue to follow up with the mother. The property's in the trust. She's the administrator of that trust, so she will ultimately make those. Yeah. She will make those decisions. The fact that the mother knew nothing of the conversations that took place with the daughters just goes and tells me a little bit just how close that family might be. This is probably just a lady, a daughter who just reached out and you just try to get big and bad with me, but really has no influence on the decisions. She's not a decision maker, guys.
And another, as you guys get started cold calling at the beginning, people who lash at you like that it's not ever at you. These people have, you just happen to be the punching bag of their life or their shitty hour or their divorce or some random thing that popped up, and then you happen to be there, and then they decided to lash out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never, as you're getting started, and more than likely you're going to get started off cold calling and door knocking, and you're going to get a bunch of fuck yous and get a real job and all this other shit. It's never personal, man. Like, and that one, it feels really, really, really personal.
Oh man, it felt personal as hell.
Personal.
Yeah,
that one hurt. What title company? That one just, that was a great issue, bro. Yeah, that is
coming from the other side, it was a great issue, right?
Yeah, that's a fantastic issue. I'm excited to see how that one ends, bro.
Man, we're gonna pull this one out, man. We're gonna pull it out. So I decided to JV with some people so we can hit it from different angles and stuff like that, bounce ideas off of it. So we'll see how that works out. But what about you, man? What's your issue of the week?
The fact that I didn't hire on a sales guy before I left, right? Okay, because I want for our call. We have a sales rep now for our call center, so that's really nice.
Okay.
But as far as and even having one and we've been like taking the steps for that, but having one for the wholesale business, because I went snowboarding 2 days in a row.
Snowboarding, because you're in Utah.
Right, because I'm in Utah, but I'm not making any sales calls. I'm making any sales calls. I don't make any money. So I don't have a business. I have a job because I have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a job.
Yeah.
I have a really high job. That's not what I want. And so my biggest issue this week, I have to, before the end of the year, I will hire on my executive assistant, who will manage a bunch of my day-to-day bullshit, so I have more time for that. And then hire on an acquisitions guy, like I talked about last week. I've been interviewing people virtually who will handle all of that, handle all of our sales. And so that was my issue this week, because not. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, because obviously, I mean, you got call magicians, right? So for you not to have someone, it's kind of even like worse than me not having somebody.
Yes and no, because I am so damn picky with who is going to be talking to my leads. And like I already went through one guy before, right? And it didn't work out well. And I'm just being scared, and I'm not just pulling the trigger and firing faster, right? But then you have to think about, okay, if I hire him on, the amount of like I put in so much effort into my last guy, all for nothing, for him to like leave in 4 months, and so I got to put in another ton of effort into this guy to make sure he pans out. So he's like how I talked about, like I don't want to train another wholesaler. I'm hiring someone virtually, so I don't have to worry about him leaving in a year. I at least want 2 years. We have all our systems, documents, everything else. And he's like, hey, I think I'm going to start looking for another job, step up, or at least I have a good enough relationship with him where he can talk to me about it. And it's not just a like out of nowhere blindside, that I can be prepared. But all right, let's we'll probably have another guy there. Here's our leads manager, our junior acquisitions guy. Let's get him prepped up and ready to go.
There you go. There you go. You guys, and excuse my, you probably hear my kids in the back, man. I got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So if you hear some yelling every once in a while, that's my daughter, man. That girl can yell. She got some long on her. So just excuse that if y'all hear it, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, Zeno's running around in the back too. So that was my issue of the week. My solution for it was obviously I have our CEO of our call center interviewing a bunch of people for me.
Okay.
And then as soon as they make it past her, because I don't think I'm that good at hiring. Right. And there's a lot of people who she's worked with me enough to know if they can take my personality type. I'm not an asshole, but I am really, really straightforward to where she's like, hey, like, this is the way it needs to be. Just do it this way. Like I'm not mad at you, but like we didn't do it right. We need to do it better. It needs to be right.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So, if it's not something you're good at, then you hire that out, right?
Yeah. And then she'll know, okay, this person works with him and we like their criteria, we like their personality. It'll fit the culture. And then let's pass it on and see if they work out.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So what about your lead of the week, man? What leads are you working on? What lead is really just jumping out at you? One that you feel like, someone can get value from listening or hearing about that lead.
Kalani bought a house for $15,000 the other day. Wow. in South.
And Kalani's your girlfriend, just so people know.
Yeah, Kalani's my girl.
Right?
Kalani's my girlfriend.
New investor into the game.
New investor into the game. This is in South Bend, Indiana.
Is this her second deal?
This is man, we're still trying to get that one in Newcastle dispoed. I don't know what'll happen. It's like not even worth the land. No. But we're trying. If anybody is watching this in Newcastle, Indiana, hit me up. I got a triplex I'm trying to sell. So Kalani followed up, texted this guy.
Yeah.
It came in. She was talking to him. He was like, yeah, I want to move forward.
Hold on. Bro, what's up with your Wi-Fi, man? You're blurry on my end.
I don't know, bro.
You got that dial-up over there?
No, but they do have awful Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, bro.
Shoot, man. I just got straight fuzzies over here.
Really?
Yeah, I just see a pink smudge. But I can hear you, though.
All right. Video only then.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Like, there's nothing I could do. I did an interview with Max when I was here again. And I was like, hey, I told my parents, you guys need better Wi-Fi. So they go get Wi-Fi extenders. And it's still trash. So there's nothing we can do.
You're good, bro. I just had to call you out on it. That's not an issue. That's not an issue that I can just let slide while we continue on with this podcast.
At least hella fuzzy, bro. I'm sorry, guys. I'll probably do the next one off my phone, honestly. So Kalani texts a lead with batch leads texting. Use promo code STRAT. Great plug. Shameless plug. But she texts them. It comes in, obviously. She texts him, qualifies him, hops on the phone with him. And she's talking to him for a little bit. He's like, yeah, I really do want to sell. Blah, blah. I inherited the house. Is always a good thing. They live in Chicago. And so One day, dark on her, and she built great rapport with him, and thought they were gonna like move forward at least with something. Hadn't even thrown out numbers yet, and then he goes dark for a couple weeks, and then his wife calls her. It's like, hey, my husband loved talking to you. He's just so overwhelmed with all this other stuff. He wanted me to handle all this.
Okay.
And so Kalani builds great rapport with the wife, and then obviously it's going her to the wife to the husband. Then the husband has 2 siblings also.
Okay.
And so it's a long game of telephone, but then they eventually talk to all the decision makers, and then Kalani's like, okay, I need to be here. It's a house that is legitimately 10 feet away from train tracks as the front yard.
Like, bro, that's a diamond.
Bro, it's a diamond. Like, it is the worst thing I've ever seen. I was like, is this even legal? Like, I wouldn't want my kids even to like be in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about our game day to day here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And so Kalani talks to her, and she's like, hey, I want to be anywhere between, what'd she say? I think she said 11 and 18 grand for this house. She's like, I don't like the railroad. And I was like, I looked it up on Instant Street View, and I was like, no. I was like, I don't want this as a rental. Like, this for sure isn't working as a rental. And I was like, offer him like between like 10 and 15. So she was like, okay, between 11 and 18. And she got it at 15 grand. And that was pretty crazy because she built such good rapport with both the seller and then the seller's wife. And so much rapport with the seller to where the wife called her back. Like, that just never really happens.
No, not at all. So that's good. I mean, it's obviously something you like to see, especially with Kalani, starting, not so long ago,
Yeah, and this was all her. This is all 100% her. And so that was pretty awesome. That was our lead of the week.
Not bad, man. Not bad. So that one's in. Has that one closed already, you said?
No, we locked that up yesterday or today.
Okay, you locked it up. So you just got it open and titled. Okay. Yeah. Nice, man. That's legit. And shout out to Kalani to be able to, like I said, be able to do that. I mean, even the one in Newcastle.
Yeah.
So however shitty that is, at the end of the day, I mean, we're probably going to have people listening to this that's still looking for their first deal. So, I mean, that happens, bro. I mean, just the ability to get something through just from getting it locked up. I mean, dude, you're taking strides already because, that's sometimes you feel like that shit's not even going to happen. So just locking up a deal, whether it makes it to the closing table or not, sometimes that's just all the proof you need, really.
At a reasonable price, too, right? Like, she has
because she got it pretty damn low.
Right? Like, she has me behind her. I can look at it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to where it's not a random wholesaler going and locking up a trailer for $300,000.
Did she comp it?
She comped it, and then I comped it.
It's amazing, bro.
And I was like, yeah, I guess we have to buy it at X amount. And it's an absurdly low amount of money for this triplex. Okay. And she got her first deal way faster than I ever did. And I mean, she's a lot smarter than me too. So
I mean, I locked my first deal up within my first month. I don't know if you remember, it was a condo right over there in 937. It was right off of Shaw and West, right? And it just had title issues, man. And so that would have actually been the first deal. I think I would have made 10 grand on it. And then it just didn't work out, man.
Oh, was it in those condos off of Shaw and Marks?
It was in the condos off Shaw and Marks. It was, I mean, dude, it was a slam dunk type deal. Dude wanted a certain amount of money. The motivation was real, dude. He didn't have enough money to keep his cell phone on. So at this point, I was still teaching full time. So I mean, I was subbing, but I was in I was in a role that allowed me to kind of leave, for early lunch or something like that. So at that point, like I would be leaving to go get them to sign this, and then to go, just try to find them. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you're hunting for that first deal. So I mean, I'm going above and beyond to just make sure that I'm creating massive value. And it just came down to something that he was married, never legally got divorced, but he had been separated from this woman for like 10 years. So then his mom had passed away. Him and his brother inherited money. With that money, he used it to buy this condo. He had been letting a friend stay there. The friend wasn't paying the HOA, so he was behind on the HOA. And so when we're taking this to the title company, blah blah blah. Since he took ownership of the property, he took it over as a single man. But the problem with him legally being married, his quote unquote, his wife didn't sign that she had no vested interest in the property. And so they had to run her information too. And when they ran her information, she had child support from a previous marriage. And the child support that she owed was more than what he was getting paid on the property. And so, I mean, it was a train wreck, dude. I think I followed up with it probably like last year, and he ended up losing it.
All right, I'm going to switch onto my phone right now.
For what? Oh, because of Wi-Fi? There we go. Oh, man. Is that 4K? I can't hear you, though. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, there you go. Turn it off on.
Oh, man, we can't do it.
So if you turn the... yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, turn the audio off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you.
Sweet. All right, man.
All right. So, hey, anybody else in the comments, guys, drop down a lead that you might have. What made one of your deals you completely go sideways? Have you ever had any type of issues with a deal that you've worked on and for some reason just wasn't able to get it across the finish line? So now
talk about on this. Of course, thank you for tuning in, man.
Yeah.
My day-to-day activities on what you start working and what activities you do.
So pretty much, what does your day look like when you wake up in the morning? Do you have a fixed schedule? We kind of talked about it in episode 1, right? You have your things that you wake up that you do before Zeno and everybody, the world wakes up, right? So kind of what does your day-to-day life look like when it comes to your business and your life?
So in my day-to-day, I wake up between 4:30 and 5. Honestly, it depends on how much I'm arguing with my inner bitch.
Yeah.
If I can get up at 4:30, that's awesome, and I can get into my routine and start pushing. Those are always going to be amazing days. It is always a constant battle for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wake up, read, and then after I read, I journal. And after that, I take some pre-workout, and I don't even work out. I just want to, I wanted to wake me up so I don't fall back asleep again.
Yeah.
Generally. Drink some water, then I'll meditate, and then I just start working. And then follow up is at about 8. And I'll do follow up from anywhere between 8 to 9. And then at 9:23, I have a huddle for my call center.
Okay.
And then from there, I have that huddle for my call center. We talk about what's going on and the issues we're having. And then from there, it's a lot of content. Like I'll usually have like a podcast or something like that. And then I have meetings generally every day until about 12 or 1 about whatever bullshit we're trying to accomplish in whatever business, trying to just like think of new ideas to make us take the next step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's more follow-up. And if I don't have follow-up, I'm really talking to people to try and just get new business drummed up, talk to friends, networking, and then obviously working out.
Okay.
And then I have to, on a regular day, I generally have to stop working at like 7.
Okay.
Just for like family reasons. So I'm not a shitty dad and partner. But if I know it's going to be if I know it's going to be a long ass day, I'll just tell client, hey, I'm not really going to come home for a while. And it is what it is. It is what, we got to make money.
Yeah. Got to put food on the table, man.
What about you, man?
Before we get into that, guys, if you're tuning in to our podcast right now, if you're either on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it may be, do us a favor, share the podcast on your page. Let's try to get some more people in here. Let's try to get a little bit more interaction. I'm hoping our goal is to be able to bring as much value to as many people as possible. And we're going to need you guys to help us out in order to do that. All right. So my day to day, man, it's kind of for the most part, it's up in the air. Yeah, I did see that anything on West Shaw, 100%, dude. I haven't touched one since. But it's kind of in the air. So depending on what day of the week it is, my son, as you guys know, like with school, they're virtual on some days. So on Mondays he's online. Tuesday through Friday he goes into school. So getting him up, I don't wake up early, man. I know you say that it depends on how much you're arguing with your inner bitch. I mean, I don't even argue back with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, one thing about being married, man, is you choose your battles. And right now, I mean, I'm just choosing my battles, and my inner bitch is just kicking my ass right now. So I don't get up, but I'll get up, get my son on, make sure that he's on school. I'll pretty much go through my emails. I'm one of those, I just lay in bed. I kind of just catch up with any type of notifications, hop on social media, and just kind of just get a feel for the day. I like to see, some motivation stuff. I kind of just build myself up to it. I don't do any cold calling. I know that's kind of, they're wondering a little bit more about like our business activity. When it comes to marketing, if I could fit it in and if I really wanted to, I could, it comes down to that thing. But I do a lot of the text marketing. Again, I use Batch also.
What's the promo code?
I use yours, man. I don't even know what mine is. But so I haven't even reached, I haven't even gone out that far to even start doing stuff like that. So what's yours? You give them yours again.
Promo code STRAT, STRATT.
And I think, and the thing is, I might not have reached out because your promo code is just so fucking good that it would make no sense for me to, I wouldn't be helping nobody by giving them my code when I know my boy's code is a whole lot better. You know what I mean? So, I'll do a lot of the text messaging that way. I do have my caller with you guys with Call Magicians. Go ahead. You can go to my Instagram. There's a link in my bio. Click that link and they'll take you right to it. Sign up. You get 2,000 free skip traces when you sign up. So I do have my caller with you guys calling 6 hours a day. And for the most part, it at least replaced me. I know going into next year, that's something that we're going to be looking to scale up a little bit more with you guys because we really love how it's been able to just take our business off when it comes to being able to consistently market. So I know that's been a huge thing and allowed me.
It's not just, and this isn't a plug for us. I'm telling you guys, if you can hire on someone, if you guys can find your neighbor, your mom, anyone to replace that to let you do just more activity. Yeah. It is the absolute best thing you can do.
So what I did is obviously, I got a VA with you guys. I also have 2 people that's calling just strictly commission.
Yep.
Right. So that works out great, to be honest with you, because again, before I was the only one making phone calls. But it's not like that. I just went ahead and scaled that and went ahead and gave it away. So I don't have to do it anymore. But what it's allowed me to do is do more networking. I mentioned a lot about social media, right? It allows me, even though I feel like sometimes I'm browsing on there, like, man, I'm looking at people's content. I'm looking at how they do things, how they run their business. What does their day-to-day operations kind of look like? Just not being able to have to sit there and market on the phone for 4 or 6 hours a day allows me to be able to look at other people's businesses and pick and pull little pieces that I like. And then from that part, man, just being a husband, being a dad. When leads come in, I kind of just take it lead for lead. As they come in, I'll go ahead and qualify them, look at the CRM, kind of see what it's looking like, look at the numbers, see if it's even really a deal, right? What's their motivation? And at that point, I'll hop on a phone call and I'll hop on, and qualify that lead. And then we just go from there, man. There's really no method to the madness for me as of right now. But just based off where my business is right now, I mean, it's not too crazy. So it's manageable.
Yeah. So, and I do take my son to school every time we have him. I think a really big issue that I see in like the entrepreneurship space everybody's like, I grind. I'm like, bro, when you're spending time with your family, like when you're having sex with your wife, like when you like doing, like when you get all this stuff in,
I'm grinding, baby.
Like all that, like I'm grinding. Like, bro, there are so many other things that like pop up in my life. Like I got to do dishes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I got to do dishes. I got to do laundry. Like I got to do all this shit that it's not making me money, and like no one else talks about it. And so don't feel insignificant because you have to do other things and spend
you have to do life
time with your family. Yeah, do life.
The best thing about this podcast,
entrepreneurship shit for life.
The best thing about this podcast is my goal, especially for me, was to be completely transparent. This business isn't easy. It's not all about money. There's personal life things that's actually, that's going to get in the way. You know what I mean? But it's all about how we're responding to it. Hopefully we can be something that you can see, hey, this is how Strat, this is how Mike, this is how they deal with certain issues that come up in life. That's not always necessarily real estate. And kind of while we're on that, man, another reason why we're kind of doing this podcast today on Friday, instead of us, we try to stay to a consistent schedule, Thursday, 8 p.m. But one of the biggest reasons, again, life kind of got in the way. But it was a great thing, man. I don't know if everyone knows, but when we had my son in 2014, my wife stopped going to school, right? So she could stay home. And at that point, she was working, but it was really just taking care of paying for childcare. She's been home since 2014. One of our biggest things was we made a promise to each other that whenever pretty much that we would have our kids, but she would always have to make sure that she went back to finish school. To me, that was a big priority. I'm about to have 2 daughters, man. And to me, her independence is what means the most to me. Her being able to have her own identity and not necessarily have to rely on me. To me, that's huge, because I always told her, like, you know what, I'm going to talk to you in a way like how I would talk to my daughters. And I would never want my daughters to ever depend on another man. And it's the same thing with her. You know what I mean? I want her to be able, hey, if I ain't doing shit right, you can get out. You know what I mean? Right? You don't have to feel like you have to stay because you depend on me. And so that was always something that was huge in our relationship and in our marriage. So my wife went back to school about 16 months ago. She had to go to city to finish some classes so she can get into a degree completion program at Fresno State, where she originally started. And yesterday she had her final, which was a 30-page paper. And then she had a 30-minute presentation with her group. That was at 7:15. They wrapped it up around 8 o'clock. We were going to try to go earlier, but I also understand what goes into preparing for, essentially your last final, your last project. Yeah. And in no way did I want anything that I was doing to get in the way of her being able to finish a huge life accomplishment for her. Right? She's pregnant. she's done to do a 3rd pregnancy. We got 2 toddlers at home, man. And so I'm just so proud of her. And I definitely wanted to give her a shout out while we're on here, because words really just can't explain just how much tenacity and how much grit and tears and, just all the stuff that went into being a mother of 3 children, but also going back to school to make sure that you continue to finish things that you started, man. So definitely wanted to give her that plug for the day, man, because I was so proud of her. But as of now, she finished her bachelor's degree, and she'll be walking across the stage maybe sometime in March.
Well, and let's talk about, you can't get in any work when you got to watch your 2 kids sprint around and do all that stuff. And like other entrepreneurs don't talk about that shit, man. Like, no, like something popped up or I just couldn't do it. Like my wife is not a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not gonna be like, okay, yeah, I'll stay home, watch the kid while you go out and try and make some money. She's like, no, motherfucker. Like you need to pull your weight, I'll pull my weight. I have my own identity. And now like it's like 2020, everyone's whatever, it's 2020, Yeah. And so she's strong and independent, and nobody talks about that. I'd never hear any entrepreneurs ever on really any of the content I listen to about their home life and how that interferes with business.
100%. And you know what? It's funny because I know Michael Zuber talks a lot about him and Olivia. Yeah. Right. I think that's one thing that really pulled me towards him, is being able to hear that. And then it was Jason Pritchard, man. I think at one of our meetups, I actually had asked a question when I was struggling to find my first deal, and at that time, like you guys know, like I said, my wife wasn't working at the time. I was the only one making money. And so one of my questions was, hey, like, how do you balance, trying to get proof of concept, but at the same time, let your wife know, like, hey, everything's going to be good. And he was straightforward with it. Jason was just like, hey, you got to show her a fucking check. Like, at the end of the day, you can talk about it all you want, but until you show her a check, she's not going to believe nothing that you're doing. You know what I mean? So, that it was good. It was good to be able to hear that from somebody.
Yeah, that is so hard. And I don't want people to just know that life happens, man, and don't feel shitty and guilted out that you aren't grinding and working. And like, don't get me wrong, you can work hard whenever it's time to work hard, and you can, but don't beat yourself up over the little shit, right? Because plenty of people make tons and tons of money and they work a lot less than we do. And 100%. They make way more money than we do.
Yeah. Someone that I that also that I kind of look up to, kind of, who make sure that they also put if you look at Darren and Cam Wade, bro, right? They already had DJ. They had their son. I believe he's like 4, but Cam just had freaking twins, and they just turned 1, bro. And so, and their Strive team, man, is killing it.
Yeah.
So when you talk about being able to have a balance of work and stuff like that, man, they do post that on their social media. They're very transparent with what it's like, raising twins and a toddler, but also having one of the top teams in Fresno when it comes to generating, business revenue. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you guys are tuning in to people who kind of resemble what your life looks like. I mean, I can't be out here watching, at least I think me and you kind of gravitate towards each other too, just because, again, it was a sports thing, but you also have your son. You were a young dad, right? So I can kind of see kind of where you were at, but your priorities were a little bit, different. But I think I can't be sitting there watching these, 20, 21-year-olds as, going out there on a date and seeing they ain't got no kids. You know what I mean? Then they tell me they ain't got no time. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you doing?
Bro, what the fuck are you doing?
You know what I mean? I can't respect that you not having no time and you have no fucking responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? So, make sure you're following people, man, whose life resembles kind of what yours look like. That's what you're going
to be, right? I mean, you can't model your life off of Rafael Vargas if you have 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's you. And like, that doesn't resonate with you. So I don't think you should try and adopt his business model.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be plenty of business models that are going to come up. And this is your business. And so you make it to do whatever you want.
You make it to do whatever you want.
Today, I'm hiring on virtual closers because I don't want an office. So I don't have to go to my office every day. I want to be out. Next year, one of our goals is to spend a month in a different country. If COVID is over with, I'm going to do it. Pack up my family and we're going to live somewhere else for a month.
Wow.
Right. And I can't do that if I have to go to my office every day.
Yeah.
But all I have to do is huddles, and then I can talk to all of my people through Skype and on my phone. That's exactly how I want my business to run.
And see, and it's funny because even with the hub, right? That's something that we're actually, as you guys know, I got a home office, but I will be at that point going to the hub, getting an office there, just because I've done my business in here for 2 years. And to me, going to the hub is going to allow me just to be in a more creative space, right? It's going to get me out of the house with the children. I think COVID didn't make it any better, right? Because now I'm really, in my home office. So I do want an office because I still do want that creative spirit of being around other entrepreneurs in my business, and building out and, constantly progressing my business. But then at the same time, I have no plans on getting this big old, floor with 10 callers on it. And because that's not how I wanted my business to be. That's not kind of how I got into this. I got in this for the freedom of time, the freeness to be able to do whatever, we wanted to do. And if you have an office with a team of in-person callers and acquisition people, like you can't, yes, you can walk away from that, but that's a lot of responsibility.
And you have people dependent on you too, right?
You have people dependent on you. So to me, I'd rather I could still have the same scaled out business, but I also know how great it is to be able to do it from home. So why would I take that away from anybody else, right? If you're performing and you're serious about what you're doing, I don't give a shit where you work at.
Yep.
You know. He said, man, I felt like you were close last year, then 2 kids in less than a year, got discouraged about not having time to put in work. 100%, man. And that's life. Like it's okay to feel that way. I think at the end of the day, that's where your partner comes in. Dame Tanya is awesome, right? I know she 100% was, on board with you and stuff like that. And so I definitely think you owe it to her to make sure that you continue to get that proof of concept for yourself, man. You've done a lot of work, and I think the light is at the end of the tunnel for you.
Yeah, I mean, you can't quit. And then even though we talk about this, the kids are never excuses.
Mm-hmm.
You can always use it to your benefit. I was taking Zeno at 6 months old to fucking seller appointments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was a single dad taking Zeno to seller appointments. Like take your 2 kids, and like this is a family business for me.
It's a family, 100%. You know what? People respect that. People respect that. You know what I mean? When I'm on a call and my kids are like screaming in the back, I'm like, hey, excuse me, that's my daughter. They're like, oh, how old is she? People like to know that you're an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care to give a perception that this is a big ass business. We're sitting in this big ass office, right? I get it. Like I'm a real life person. I tell them, hey, I used to be a special education teacher. You know what I mean? Excuse me if my kids is running around in the background. I work from home, right? People love to hear that. So don't ever be afraid to be transparent, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately we talk about rapport, and that's how you get deals is rapport. Be yourself, man. People are gonna love you for who you are, and they're gonna hate you for who you are. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, bro. It is so powerful. And like the only thing is, man, you just carry yourself as a professional.
Yep.
And your kids will behave themselves like, hey, sorry, my kid's in the background. And then at least you, if anything, odds are that person on the other side of the phone has a kid or knows a kid. So you can use it to like make some type of connection.
Grandkids,
to establish a little bit of rapport.
Y'all, they're not too loud. Yeah, that's always, y'all, they're not bad. It's okay. How old are they? You know what I mean? But yeah, Kyle, kids are a purpose. They're not an excuse. Don't use that as a reason of why you can't be successful. Use it as a reason to why you will be successful.
Right? Because if I don't go work, me and Zeno are back to bananas and rice, and I don't want to go back to bananas and rice.
although sometimes I think this it might have tarnished my kids, man. I get teased a lot because I'll have friends that come over and stuff like that, and if you guys don't know my 6-year-old Tyson, man, he's a character. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys seen his birthday this year. He had the little parade. He's out there dancing and getting it. He's just live, man. And so we'll be sitting in the living room and he'll be like, Dad, I'm hungry. And I'm like, okay, well, what you want to eat? And he'll be like, oh, I want Wingstop, or I want Chick-fil-A. And my boys will look at me like, bro, like, like you got some spoiled ass kids, dog. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, hey, y'all not helping me out, man. Like we can go make a sandwich or something in there. So, it's funny to just, it's funny, but it's also humbling at the same time to see just kind of, kids, they're very innocent. So they don't understand kind of what they're asking you. But, those are the little rewarding things where you realize that you're able to provide better things for your kids, So been kind of going on, man. Kind of. What's up?
Did we get your content of the week?
Did we get your book of the week?
My book of the week, I'm still on, bro. Mastery's a fat ass book. I'm not that fast.
Okay.
And then I'm turn the ship around still as well.
Okay.
And then I think I'm still on the same 3. Let me check.
Okay. And while you do that, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm pretty much convinced. I pretty much stopped whatever I was reading last week. Downloaded the audiobook for Think and Grow Rich. It kind of sucks because I kind of went back and forth on if I wanted to get the hard, just get the book, the physical copy, but I'm an audiobook type person. And so it's definitely going to be a book that I'm going to have to get both. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I got to have it on my nightstand.
Powerful, bro.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's a book that you have to have. But I know in order for me to be able to consume it as much as I want to, I got to be able to listen to it. So I just bought the audiobook for that, and I started that. And like you said, man, it's super powerful. I highly recommend it for everybody, to be honest with you.
It is my Bible. And even if you're a Christian, you should read that book as your second book.
Yeah.
Better your life. I mean, it helps with so many other aspects in your life besides just business.
Yeah.
And then my book I read this week was Who Not How by and Sullivan.
Okay. Who Not How.
Who Not How. He's the writer. He's the creator of Strategic Coach.
Okay.
Mark Evans told me to read a book called Unique Ability 2.0, to where it's, I talk about this a little bit with you, to where I'm only doing things that are light and not heavy, and I'm operating only in my unique ability.
Yeah, things that make you thrive, the things that you're great at. Yeah.
Great at, right? And just dig into it and like, who, not how, like not how can I make 50 calls a day? Who the hell
can? Yeah.
Like who can 100%. Make me a day? Who can I help out? Like who person for me, and who can I be for them? Right? Like I'm who's too. I'm providing value. I'm providing an opportunity. That was sure. Especially just going into what I'm in now. For whatever reason, I feel like the call center operates so well, and it's not. I don't know. It just happened out of nowhere, right? And now I have to take those same metrics, and it's a little bit hard for whatever reason for me.
Yeah.
Place and who, not how.
Perfect. Okay. And then the next one was content of the week, right? What content? I'm sorry.
It's called Mark Evans. I asked you about your content of the week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My content of the week, man. It was a lot, man. There's a guy, and I was looking on my phone earlier, trying to figure out his name. Chase had actually posted on his story. I think he's a sales coach. He's something about closing or something like that. Dude has a podcast, and he has a bomb, like dropping bombs. What's his name?
Is it Brad?
Huh?
Is it Bradley?
Is it the dude that just posted something about having a sugar daddy?
I don't know.
He's someone that I've actually been looking at his content. But I started following him because he's just raw and uncut. And it's just funny as shit to me, right? It's all about just, I don't know, man. It's just almost like an inner animal kind of. He's just who he is, and so I actually enjoy looking at it. But then Michael Zuber posted a video about private money, how to get private money, and I thought it was powerful for me, to be able, just based off of where I am in my business right now, comes to being able to listen to kind of his input on that. And he talked about obviously you want to be able to provide value to whoever you're looking to get private money from, but also understanding that it may not be as profitable for you if you need private money, because you need to lead with value. And when you bring somebody a nice deal that they're going to make nice money off of, then obviously they're going to always want to continue to take care of you. And then also making sure that you just continue to do the business, right? You don't, no one's going to just go out and just throw their money at you. You got to be able to prove that you can consistently provide that type of value and consistently perform on what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I thought that was good content that I was able to listen to earlier today.
Oh yeah, man. And just to elaborate a little bit more on that, of like bringing in the deal, like to the new wholesalers, give up equity on your first deal to make it worth someone's time or pay someone for mentorship. Yeah, not everybody's patient just wants to help you. Like I have a time issue. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like for me to insert my time into you takes up a lot. Like it's time away from my family. It's time away from my girlfriend, time away from my son, talking to my parents. And so like it has to be worth it to me. That's just who I am. Yeah. Sorry, like I can help you only so much.
And so
as you are looking into that, go ahead, dude.
No, go ahead. Finish your, because it was going to just be an example of bringing equity.
Yeah, like if you want to bring a lead and like, hey man, I need so much help, blah blah blah. Just like, I'll give you what's JV on anything I do. Like, sweet, bro. Like that's at least something for me to get out of my time.
Yeah, like I've previously had a lead that just kind of just didn't work out, but it could have potentially been a 6-figure deal, right? And so it was a lead that I was potentially going to get around $60,000. I had ARV probably close to high 200s, so I had seen it. This would have been a deal that I think easily I could have wholesaled or signed out, 140, 150. And so when I thought about it, I was just like, there's so much value there. I haven't flipped a property, right? So that's something that I would need to, if I was in the JV with someone, it would need to be someone who flips properties, who already has his team system in place. And so I was just thinking, instead of sending it out, trying to sell it at 140, 150, I can assign it to myself at 100, right? Make sure that I pay the wholesale business, and then bring this deal to somebody else to JV with me at $100,000, right? And the value in
there's
there,
no room to mess up.
there's no room to fuck up on that, because even at 140, 150, that would have been with a flipper hitting the $30,000 profit. So those numbers were based at 150, the flipper, the end buyer making 30 grand on that flip. So now my value that I'm bringing to an end buyer is, hey, I got this deal that I would have sent out at 140. I'm going to bring it to you at 100, right? I just want to work on it with you.
Yep.
That's how you create value for somebody else, and you make it worth it, because now their reputation is what got them this type of value, right?
Yep.
Ultimately, it is, you never want to tell someone, hey, you're just doing this because you're going to want something back from them. But at the same time, it's proving that you're capable of doing these things. Like, I'm willing to not be so greedy and give something to you, because I know at the end of the day, the value that you have to bring to me is worth so much more.
So much more. And it's going to make someone willing to want to work with you. And if you can't JV on your first deal, you're never going to JV on your other deals.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Because you're going to have to JV on so many other deals moving forward in every other aspect of business.
Yep. So I think at this point, we should probably close it out. We've been going for an hour and 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah, man.
I think you mentioned you got a poker tournament to get to.
I got a poker tournament to go win. Don't
go lose your fucking money, bro. Like, you end up having to sell your podcasting equipment, and then all of a sudden our fucking podcast dreams just goes to shit.
All down the drain.
All down the drain. So before, obviously we want to thank everybody for tuning with us. It's a pleasure. Again, Stratton, you're all the way in Utah, man. It's the first time we've been separated in this little podcast journey. But have a Merry Christmas, because that's what, next Thursday?
Yeah, no podcast next week.
No podcast next week. I might go live on Instagram or Facebook if you guys want to just tune in on that. Make sure that you guys are following Instagrams, right? Because we'll be trying to make sure we're doing better with daily content that way. So you guys can see mine is down there at the bottom. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Any questions you guys may have, man, anything, man, again, I'm an open book. Just go ahead and follow us on that. Make sure you Free Agent REI, bring value into that, interact with the people in that group is all that we ask. And then, yes, Rodney, got anything else to say?
If you guys need cold callers, go to callmagicians.com. Go join our Facebook group. What else? And if you guys need skip trace data, go to rocketskiptracing.com. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family, guys. This is you only get one time. I only get one Christmas like this with my son ever again. So enjoy these moments, man. They're amazing.
They're amazing. You never hear from us. Always hear from us. Make sure you spend time with your family, man. Again, that's what keeps you rounded. That's what keeps you going. And we always going to want to make sure we got the best version of everybody in our circle. So go ahead and enjoy that time. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.